All right, we're already live. I forgot to even wait till 5 after, but whatever. Who wants to run this puppy?
Wanna hop in?
Yeah, sure, go for
it. All right, I'm gonna pop up in the agenda 1 second here.
Yeah, the issues in the chat.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of stuff today, so.
Okay, welcome to the meeting of the Node.js tooling group. For folks who are joining us on YouTube or happen to be hanging out in the chat. And we might have a short one today. We do have a little bit of an agenda to go through. Let's see here. Oh, come now, computer. There we are. So first thing on the agenda, alerting end users about features that we've added.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. I've not really done anything new on that. I think last we talked, the idea was to build like a CLI tool, and maybe that tool just like wraps ESLint or something, like rather than reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
Which interestingly, I actually am kind of tackling this exact same problem at work right now. So yeah, I'll kind of see what comes out of that. Kind of want to do some like custom linting, but not directly through ESLint for reasons. So yeah, it might give me, I might end up taking a crack at this for that. And if it works well, then maybe go ahead with that approach here.
I think I saw someone requesting this functionality on Twitter recently because they were saying, like, in lieu of some recent supply chain attacks, they were saying, you know, some of these things already exist in Node, so people should trim down their dependency graph, right? So.
Yeah, I saw that as well, actually. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it seems like it's something that's maybe wanted. I mean, I would like it. So, okay, yeah, I mean, let's keep it on there. See how my experiment wrapping ESLint in like a custom CLI goes. It could, I guess, also be just like its own ESLint like plugin or something. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this pans out, I guess.
Yeah, make something work.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say make something work and then refactor if it makes sense. Red, green, refactor kind of thing.
I'd probably prefer it as just a plugin, so I can just add it to the linter we already use at Google. But
I mean, even if it ends up being some CLI tool that wraps ESLint, probably the rules should be in a plugin, right? So yeah, maybe that's a good starting point. Is just like write a few custom rules. Because yeah, again, we would definitely use this at my work as well. So maybe that's a good starting point.
Makes sense to me. So I think that talks to that item.
Yep.
So ESLint plugin or a wrapped ESLint would be cool. Recursive copy. I saw it also mentioned, I think, in that same thread. So it's landed, but it's experimental. To get it to not be experimental, we need to figure out a way to handle buffers, which it doesn't yet. I'd kind of half implemented a buffer helper library for treating paths as buffers the same way that strings, it can treat strings. I realized I had a couple of bugs. I think I need to change the UTF-16 parsing a little bit. So maybe I can even maybe I could just start by handling buffers, but assume they're UTF-8, and then if someone wants to add support for UTF-16, well, I don't know. Maybe I just need to get it done. Or maybe we can make a case that we don't need to handle buffers for this one feature, but apparently that can let down people who are using some character sets. So
Yeah, would UTF-8 address those?
I mean, Node strings are UTF-8, right? So I think UTF, like I think this, if you're using the string, if you're using strings when you're using path operations, it can support extended character sets. I think there's just some character sets that are different encoding. So if you leave them as the buffer, it keeps this, it doesn't, it works on some obscure file systems basically, because you haven't transformed the data at all. I don't fully understand the bug. I think it has to do with like one specific Japanese character set that came up, which is why the feature was added. And I'm not like great at I18N, so I'm not 100% sure of the nuance.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know the exact like use case so that we could, you know, if not supporting UTF-16 doesn't address it, then there's probably no point in not doing the UTF-16 implementation.
I wonder if we could make the case that the feature is stable and landed, but an additional work we would like to do on it is adding that buffer support. I don't know.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, but I think that maybe that would have to be when we went and talked to someone in the TSC about, because I think it was a blocker for, who was it a blocker for? It was a blocker for someone on the TSC. What's that?
Oh, I thought it was James Snell.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just blanking. Yeah, it was James Snell. So
yeah, it's probably worth a conversation.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool that people want to use the stuff that we've made over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think we've done a good job of kind of hammering out some of the major players that everyone just immediately pulls in as a dependency, right? So, what's next? Actually, I guess what he said he'd like next is an argument parser, that person in the thread.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember that now. Yeah, I replied and sent him a link to the repo.
Maybe I should link the thread in question because it was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, it should be captured somewhere.
Let me find it. These supply chain attacks has just been such a hot topic in the last year. Like there's at Google, we're talking about them a ton as well.
Same.
Let me see here. Find that thread. I almost never tweet, so it should be one of my last 3, 4. There's a dog. Okay, here we go. Found the thread. It was neat. They called out like 3 things we've been related with. So they mentioned random UID, which I was pitching in on, and I guess I'll put it towards the top here since. Why am I not able to paste? Oh. I broke my laptop
Oh, yeah?
couple weeks ago and have been using a Chromebook, which is fine as long as I'm plugged into a monitor, but kind of hard when I'm using it in a meeting room. There we go.
Cool.
So the specific things that they called out in the thread, though, were, let me read this quickly. It's Promises, which James Snell, I think, did a lot of work on. McDerp, RimRaf, which we've contributed a ton on. fs.copy, which is experimental. And then they mentioned random UID, which I think means this goal of working our way down some of the top dependencies that are really tiny and just trying to eliminate the need to build your own. I think people seem to appreciate it.
The like supply chain attack perspective is interesting on this.
Yeah, I mean, the argument historically used to be that we were definitely running into when we first proposed McDerp, for instance, was kind of Node was built on the ethos of kind of a la carte. The npm is the standard library, but then what we're seeing as the community evolves and matures and people move on, like you end up with libraries that haven't been touched in some cases 8 years, which I think this recent supply chain attack, I think it hadn't been touched in 8 years. So I don't know. I think there's some benefit to having a larger standard library for this specific use case.
Yeah, I agree. You said earlier what's next, or was that you or Joe? I don't remember. But yeah, it's a good question. Probably something we should discuss at some point.
I agree. Why don't we move on to argument parsing, because I think that's on the agenda and I think a really natural thing to be one of the things we do next.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think there are any updates there. I know, Jessica had done some work and then even kind of updated the README. And I think I'm happy to do more work, but it wasn't clear, like perhaps what next steps are. I know we have a few issues open. Sorry, go ahead, Ian.
Did that get merged? Did she had that PR
Yeah.
up? Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty bullish on getting it to an actual PR on Node again.
I'm
personally.
I'm willing to I did do that work on the ESLint thing that we want to use for PKG.js. I'd be happy to move that over to that org and publish it, but I don't have the ability to do any of that. So someone else needs to help me with that. But then I'm happy to integrate that and do some work on writing some tests for it as well.
Writing tests
What are you thinking?
for
Go ahead.
I was just gonna, when you say writing tests, what do you mean, for parsargs or for the linter tool? Or
for parsargs, I mean, sorry, integrating the linter, because I think there are a few tasks on there that I kind of volunteered to take on. One was figuring out the linting. Another one was getting code coverage set up. And then, happy after that to contribute some tests and stuff as well.
Cool. Yeah, I know there are some tests there already, but more would certainly be great. I looked at the issues earlier, and another one that comes to mind in terms of more work to do is putting in some short ops stuff. So, single dash work. So that could be another next step if we think that we want that there. It sounded like we did based on comments and what I remember. So yeah, testing, coverage, linting, short ops. Error message and error handling, aligning that more with Node.
Right. I think that was kind of what started the discussion about the linter. It was oh, we should do things the same way Node does them.
Yeah.
I think someone chimed in and was just use standard or standard semi-standard or something, which, I mean, we could just do that and then do a little bit of a refactor when we pull it into Node. Whichever way we want to go. Yeah. Someone had chimed in and just said it's a hassle to extract Node's linter from the code base, and it's only the way it is partially for historical reasons, which is it's the style that we landed on in that code base over years, basically.
Well, I did the part where we were to extract it, which was a little bit of a pain, but it is done.
Oh, great. Well, if we've done that, then I think that's a good idea, because then you can basically drop the code in, right?
Right. Yeah. So I just need help from someone who has access to PKG.js on GitHub and NPM to actually like move it over and publish it.
I think Darcy, set up some of the stuff, so that might be a good person to.
Yeah, I can always bug him on Twitter.
Yeah, Michael Dawson too. I talk to him often, so if I can ask him as well.
The last message Darcy was about a package manager wrapper that I made, and I asked him, how much do you hate this? It does some things to NPM that NPM doesn't want to support. So
did you say Rich Trott has access to it, or who was the other person? Oh no, it was Michael Dawson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have no idea who has access to all that.
I'm comfortable.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you comfortable just sending Michael Dawson a private message, Ian? He's usually pretty responsive.
Yeah. I can talk to both of those guys and see if one of them can help me for sure.
Yeah, Wes may have access to whoever's easiest for you to get in touch with.
Whoever responds the fastest.
Cool.
Well, that brings us to the end of the regular agenda, but I'm getting, that thread got me excited about argument parsing, because I feel like we've checked off a lot of the obvious ones at that point, right? So
it would be cool to have that. I was going to bring up before the OpenJS conf, whatever, in June. It'd be cool to have that landed by then.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I would defer to you two, perhaps especially you, Ben, to hammer on it a bit and just make sure it's really kind of ready. I mean, I know there's not a lot there. There's, it is what it is, but I'd like to feel prepared before we bring it to Node Core and, know what.
Yeah. I'll make that my like top open source thing. The only thing that I'll be dropping on the floor is getting a copy over to stable, but maybe we can convince people to not have. Maybe it is stable already. we can probably start looking at some stats and seeing if people are actually using it.
Well, if you want to give it a week or two, Ben, before you hammer on it, Ian and I can do some of this other work and just get things sort of stable in our own repo, and then.
That sounds good. Yeah, I have a standing Thursday block, which is supposed to be like an hour or two of open source programming. I just have been missing it for the last couple months because perf is such a big thing at Google. It takes like an entire month of your life. So
yeah, I can imagine.
But we're getting into the holidays now, so it's a good time actually for me to have a little bit more downtime to work on this kind of stuff. So
cool.
I was actually going to pull or just copy the code from Parsargs into a new project that I was working on and building out a new like CLI at work. And normally I would just, pull in yards. But I thought, hey, just give this a try.
Yeah, there you go.
Then what Node conference is it, Ian? Sorry, it's Node Interactive, was it, or what was it?
June?
Yeah.
It's the OpenJS World.
OpenJS World, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't actually been to that one, but yeah, I think that's the one in Austin in June.
Okay. I should put in a talk maybe, but I probably have missed the deadline already if it's June, or maybe not.
Good question. I don't think. Yeah, I guess Joe, you know better.
Yeah, I'm on the program committee. We haven't opened up CFPs or anything. You have plenty of time.
Yeah,
okay.
It'd be cool to do a talk, whether it's just about argument parsing or about like the tooling stuff that we've done. Yeah, that would be great. I also just today on Twitter asked if there was going to be a collaborators summit at that conference, and it sounds like hopefully yes is the answer. So
yeah, I think that's something we want to do for sure. How we make it happen and what shape exactly, I think is maybe still to be figured out. But yeah, definitely would love to be doing some sort of collaborative summit, not just for Node, but probably, for a variety of projects there.
it would be great, I think, like to, what do we work on next? I think it would be great to start putting some thought into that and potentially discussing at some kind of collaborator summit.
I'd be interested in looking at like the top 50 NPM modules again and see if there's any other obvious candidates that should be are pretty tiny and used ubiquitously enough that it might be worth pulling up into Node.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the other thing on my mind too is like are there other candidates like random UID that would make maybe more sense in the web platform than in Node, if any jump out at us? Because that's a dial we can turn, right? Because like I think anything we do in the web platform, we should be doing in Node as well. But sometimes I think it's worth considering doing it, making a case for it maybe in TC39 or in W3C as well.
Yeah.
Because that's something that Dino has been, I think, really concentrating on, is trying to be standards compliant, right?
Yeah, well, they're trying to be like compatible with the web platform, which is definitely a direction Node's been going in as well.
It's a contentious topic, but I think it can be really valuable to, like, what they used to call it isometric code. It actually is. We're getting to the point where that actually is possible in some regards, right? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I tweeted recently because I was going through some Google Docs. I was trying to find something, I can't remember what, and I found a Google Doc from 6 years ago called Isomorphic Apps, I think it was, or Isomorphic JavaScript, and I opened it up and it was empty.
That seems about right.
Yeah. Anyway.
What's the one, like my pet thing that I really wanted to advocate for, but I feel like I'm what might be the only person doing it, would be having a little bit of TypeScript syntax inside of JavaScript. So like not a TypeScript parser, but a TypeScript. It won't throw an exception if you have TypeScript in your code. So that you could actually use TypeScript code samples and they'd be functional if you copy and paste it into a Node interpreter, right?
Yeah.
But that's like a 10-year plan that probably will never happen, kind of thing, because it would touch so much of the language.
Yeah.
But awesome. Well,
we got a few minutes left.
What's that?
I was just saying we've got a few minutes left before you got to run. Is there anything else?
I was just going to say, I mean, kind of completely off topic from the meeting, but I'm living in Canada now. So if you do feel like flying to Toronto sometime, Ian, or both of you, because it's my girlfriend got across the border pretty easily, Joe. So nice.
If
you ever want to come up for a visit?
Yeah, sounds cool.
Yeah, I actually very much want to do that. I was talking to Darcy about that as well. Kind of, at least for the next few months, still wanting to stick to Canada for traveling. So yeah, I actually was thinking about a trip out to Toronto.
What was I going to say? Prepare yourself that Kitchener-Waterloo is about an hour and 10 minutes from Toronto.
Right. Yeah, I know you're not right in.
I'd probably come to Toronto too for a weekend or something. There's a train, so.
Yeah, we could have a little Canadian summit. You know, Michael Dawson's up there, and I mean, he's in Ottawa, so not super close, but we could all meet.
Yeah, Miles is there as well.
Oh yeah, Miles is up there now too. Yeah.
I think Miles is just outside of Toronto, basically, like me. So.
Yeah,
we should try and plan something maybe for like early next year.
Yeah, something deep into the winter, right.
But yeah,
we could really experience Canada.
Canada in January it's the time.
Toronto is very cold in the winter because of the tall buildings. They just turn into like these funnels that.
All right, we could do spring then.
Yeah.
I'm game.
I'm game. I'll do it whenever. All right. Well, let's get an email going about that. But all right, I better go so I can make it to the next meeting room. All right.
Cool. See you, Ben.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Good seeing you guys.